clients. Michael Leader has dedicated his entire practice to the art of defeating DUI and criminal cases for a period of time. The criminal and DUI defense law firm of Leader & Leader PA has a remarkable track record. They develop a close working relationship with each of their clients prior to deciding how to proceed with your case in order to tailor the approach and defense to each individual client and their needs. They are always available to their clients. At Leader & Leader, they offer every type of criminal defense, including DUI, federal drug charges, white-collar crime or fraud cases, theft offenses, violations of probation or early termination, and all other criminal matters from investigation to trial. Let the criminal and DUI law firm of Leader & Leader PA explore all of your options. Call them today at 954-523-2020. That's 954-523-2020. Or go to their website at criminallawleader.com. Do not take chances when it comes to your freedom or the possibility of jail or prison time. Free in-office or telephone consultations for all criminal matters. Do not hesitate. Call the Criminal Law Leader today, 954-523-2020.
And we're back here. We're live. Love Barry Fowler, my bud, mainly because I trust him. Hey, if you're just tuning in for the first time, I'm Steve-O, and normally my co-host with the contagious laugh, Renee, is not here today. This is the second time in 3 years we haven't been doing a show together, but we'll just hopefully limp along. Anyway, if you're tuned in for the first time, the show's called Ask the Experts. We bring the experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. And we have a gentleman in our office who's been with us since day one. And I'm telling you, if you ever need, and you never know when you will, a criminal attorney, one of the good guys, the bulldog who will not rip you off, but do an incredible, incredible job for you. And when it comes to criminal law, you better have someone who's going to do a great job for you. Let me welcome you to Michael Leader of Leader & Leader. Hey, Michael.
Hey, man, good to see you. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you back. Boy, you know what? Before we get started on criminal law, we were just sitting here talking about you're kind of doing some other areas now of law, too. You're kind of spreading out a little bit.
You know, I love what I do in criminal and DUI defense. I do all state and federal criminal cases as well as DUI work. I've had a very eclectic background. I know most people generally want somebody that focuses or specializes in a particular area. Now, my focus, my career, and for the last number of years, has been predominantly criminal. In fact, it's been almost everything, but I do have a small portion of my practice that is carved out based on my life's experiences and other work I've done, and it's a niche that I feel that I'm very prepared and equipped to handle, and it's something I find very rewarding, and it's basically referred to as first-party insurance work. And the long and short of it is I will represent people or providers that have, there's a insurance policy, people have paid their premium, they should be due their insurance, and for whatever reason, the insurance company's either refusing to pay the benefits that are due, or if everybody that's reasonable and rational is saying, well, the benefits due should be $10,000, they're saying, yeah, we only want to give you $1,000, we can step into the shoes of the insured, we can sue the insurance company on their behalf, and the best part, and this is why I love this work, I like to do work where I feel like I'm genuinely helping people and not hurting them. With personal injury work, and nothing against personal injury guys, listen, I know a guy that just put up $150,000 of his own money for a client in a tough case, and then God got a verdict and came out on it, if he ever gets paid after the appeals. But,
yeah, right.
But, a lot of these PI guys are good lawyers putting up their time, their money, so I'm not knocking them at all. But the way that structure works is they take 30% to 40%, depending on the fact scenario, of what they get for their client. The beautiful thing about most of the first-party insurance work is if we have to file a lawsuit, if we collect anything, if we show our clients entitled to anything the insurance companies are refusing to give them, we now have an entitlement to attorney's fees in most cases, which means my client keeps 100% of their money and I get paid from the insurance company. So it's not like I got $100,000 back from my client and now here I come swooping and taking 40,000 of it and they're only left with 60. If my client gets $100,000, then they get $100,000 for their loss, their home, their damage, whatever it is. And I'm just making up a number, obviously. These things, I've been in first-party cases that have been literally over small bills that just went unpaid to, things that were significant and over large sums of money. But it doesn't matter what the sum is, what the reason is. If you have an insurance benefit and your insurance company is refusing to honor that benefit,
or pay the cheapest amount possible.
Right. There are many situations that we can help. I've done a lot of this in the PIP arena in the past. I've done property claims, and I've also done, in a particular niche I'm fond of because my background is long-term care, where we have helped people with long-term care insurance. We helped somebody with an AFLAC claim. AFLAC would not pay, would not. All of a sudden we get involved. We had them after months paid within, I think, 10 days.
Yeah, and I know you do have some public adjusters that work for you, but...
Not for me, but I do get some of my cases that are recommended through public adjusters that couldn't get it done without an attorney.
So now they have to come to an attorney, which is where you come in. But, if I'm an insurance company, I have a public adjuster come to me versus an attorney like yourself, I'm not going to footy-dally around with the attorney because... And we could have to go right to court, whereas the public adjuster, they might be able to wait a little bit longer.
I'm not saying that I am above mistakes. I mean, everybody's human. Anybody can make mistakes in their assessment and evaluation. But if I decide to file on a claim, it means that I think I can win it because I'm putting up my time for free. In some cases, the cost money for free, and I don't want to work for free. I've worked too hard, and I think that my time and my energy and my results for my clients is worth too much for me to do it for free. So I do some pro bono work, but not in this arena.
Renee's sister, her whole flooring came up, and the insurance company did not want it. They just wanted to patch it up. It wasn't supposed to be patched up. So here the adjuster was trying to work with them, and it actually took an attorney to come in. Should have paid for the whole thing up front.
Right, and it depends. It depends on policy. See, that's the problem is people talk to a friend and they hear their buddy got this. Every case is different because everybody's got a different policy, a different year. It could be the same company, but they change language in their policy from year to year. You could have different riders. So, I mean, listen, somebody that knows what they're doing, they have to look at the insurance policy, look at the facts of the case, see what's reasonable under the circumstance, what should have been required under the policy, and then you go from there. But, I mean, that's a great example. If there was a determination that she had coverage that should have covered replacement, and if... when I say professionals, not just any professionals, but credible professionals are saying this job should not be a patch job. This needs to do it right to fix what they had and not to have problems in the future. This needs to be replaced because of A, B, and C. And they can set out a logical reason, not just, it'd be a lot nicer or it'd be a lot prettier. If I were you, I'd rather just replace it. But they can show a legitimate reason why it needs to be replaced and not repaired. Then that may be, depending on the policy, a situation where exactly we could help people. And I hope Renee's situation, you said it was her sister. Hope that all got it resolved. Yeah. But anyway, I mean, that's what I do. But my true passion, my day-to-day work is definitely still defending the accused. And, but I love doing that stuff too because I feel like I'm helping people.
Let's tell everybody you've got a website. They could actually go watch us right now live.
Absolutely.
Give them your website address.
We're at www.criminallawleader.com. It's one word, criminallawleader.com. And they're on our homepage. You should see, if everything's working right, I hope, the show today streaming. And then we have another link that brings you back to past shows that we've done with you guys that they can view if they want to. And, they'll hear us talking predominantly about DUI and criminal law and the work we do.
What is going on here in South Florida? I get my little Sun Sentinel... where I can catch up with the news, and I'm looking, all these DUIs. What is going on out there?
DUI arrests are actually down from what they were 10 years ago, but with that being said, there's still a lot of people affected. I will tell you, I've had some crazy cases that came into my office lately, and I can't believe that people were charged or arrested. I have one where I just read a police report that says my client hit... Allegedly, my client was the driver that hit a milling machine, a construction piece of equipment. Apparently, there was no damage to the equipment. This particular client has major sleep issues. She hasn't been sleeping. She'll go days without sleep. There's studies that show that sleep deprivation can cause somebody to show the same or similar signs and symptoms of impairment from drugs or alcohol. Thank God she's okay and nobody was hurt. She nodded off. She fell asleep literally at the wheel, ran into a piece of construction equipment, and was in a serious crash. Thankfully, she wasn't badly hurt, But the police report is absurd. It says in the report that the vehicle turned over, it rolled, that she was pinned, that the officers were on scene and one of the officers saw her in the vehicle. I've spoken to witnesses. They said the paramedics took her before the police got there. They say the vehicle never rolled over. She was never pinned. And these are independent civilian witnesses. I mean, even the guy that was driving the machine she hit is going to be the best witness for me. There was an odor of alcohol, nothing else, which it was explained her significant other, her boyfriend, and they wrote in the report that they were at a party for work. They were at a dinner for work. It was not a party by any means. It was a business dinner. And unfortunately, her boyfriend had a cocktail. They drove separately, and it literally spilled it. So there may have been an odor of alcohol, in all fairness to law enforcement, but it wasn't coming from her breath. There's multiple witnesses that can corroborate that this guy physically spilled the drink on her. She hadn't been drinking. She was tired. And there are all these fallacies in the reports. I got another case recently where the officers, and listen, no offense, there are a lot of good law enforcement officers out there on the road that are protecting us and putting their lives on the line for our well-being and safety every day. Like any other job, so I'm not picking on cops, like any other jobs, there's some buffoons, just like there are a lot of lawyers that are buffoons and a lot of lawyers that are great. This officer writes this report. First of all, there was no basis for them to even go and detain my client at the hospital. She was also in an accident, taken to the hospital. Allegation of odor of alcohol, nothing else, no signs of impairment, nothing. And the officer holds her there. They discharge her from the hospital. He says, no, you can't leave. Somebody else is going to come to and investigate a DUI investigation, which based on odor alone, you can't do. So they illegally detained her, wouldn't let her leave.
No breath analyzer or anything?
No, at this point, it's nothing. She's in an accident, taken from the scene. Odor of alcohol was claimed. Paramedic or somebody said they smelled an odor of alcohol in her breath. It's all the paramedic says in a report. They smelled the odor. The police officer changes that in his report to the paramedics relayed to me signs consistent with somebody that's impaired. Well, odor is an indicator of consumption. It does not indicate impairment whatsoever. So it's a perfect example how law enforcement officers are not always on your side, and they're not going to just report things factually, that sometimes they're going to twist it because they want to make that arrest for whatever reason. Again, all you good guys out there protecting us, doing your job right, I'm not knocking you. It's just the guys, just like in my profession, a lot of guys that do what I do don't make me very proud. Well, to the officers out there, they're doing it right, thumbs up. But to this guy that handled this case, thumbs down. Clearly had an agenda. The way he's writing it, the way he's doing it, gets better. They won't let her leave. Then the boyfriend and the mother are basically thrown out of the room, not allowed to stay with her. But then, thank God, the mother stayed close with her ear to the door and overhears the officer telling her, I want blood, I want blood, I want blood. And she says, no, 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 for a couple of different reasons. And then he says to her, fine, if you don't give me blood right now, I'm just taking you to jail. If you give me the blood, I won't take you to jail. We'll wait for the results. So what'd she do? She gave the blood. But that's not legal. And the guy fills out a form from Department of Motor Vehicles for something called implied consent. And the form has a spot on it. Specifically, it says, was arrested on, because unless there's serious bodily injury, death, or voluntary consent, you can't draw blood from somebody. It has to be breath, urine, blood, has to be subsequent to a lawful arrest unless there's serious bodily injury or death generally, or voluntary consent on anybody can.
But she didn't know this, though.
Well, it doesn't matter. The officer's such an idiot. Again, I apologize, but he fills out the form and he says was arrested on, and he puts a date and time, and then he writes not in custody. She was never arrested. So, I mean, there's a million reasons in this case, but it screams of incompetence. I got to the state attorney's office, try to stop it from being filed. Somebody there gave it to somebody else because the attorney that was in charge of it was going to pull it, look at it, call me before he did anything. Somehow it got it diverted elsewhere, and some other supervisor just shoved it through. And I can't imagine this particular supervisor read the actual file. They just looked the four corners, boom, 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 and signed off on it. Had they read the arrest packet and the paperwork, they would have had to have been scratching their head and say, something doesn't make sense. Somebody screwed up here. This isn't right. But it just gets shuffled through the system. So now this lady's looking at a DUI case with serious complications. She's looking up to a year in jail, fines, court costs, community service, probation, permanent conviction on her record. She has an administrative suspension with DMV for a year for the refusal because she went and did that without me. It's brutal. And this is what happens to people when they're not properly represented, unfortunately.
Wow. We're going to go to break. We come back. I hope I don't put you in a bad position, but there's so many people out there who want to hire a public defender, and all I hear about is, well, my case didn't go well, I had a public offender, and how important, especially when it's, I mean, we're talking about criminal now. You just gave us some examples. So when we come back, I want to talk about why it's important that someone hire an attorney like yourself. We will be right back.
When you need an aggressive, experienced, and knowledgeable criminal or DUI defense attorney, turn to the law firm of Leader & Leader, PA. With nearly 80 years of combined experience, Michael D. Leader is a former prosecutor with considerable experience, not just in all areas of criminal law, but also DUI defense. Michael Leader has dedicated his entire practice to the art of defeating DUI and criminal cases for a period of time. The criminal and DUI defense law firm of Leader & Leader, PA has a remarkable track record. They develop a close working relationship with each of their clients prior to deciding how to proceed with your case in order to tailor the approach and defense to each individual client and their needs. They are always available to their clients. At Leader & Leader, they offer every type of criminal defense, including DUI, federal drug charges, white-collar crime or fraud cases, theft offenses, violations of probation or early termination, and all other criminal matters from investigation to trial. Let the criminal and DUI law firm of Leader & Leader, PA explore all of your options. Call them today at 954-523-2020. That's 954-523-2020. Or go to their website at criminallawleader.com. Do not take chances when it comes to your freedom or the possibility of jail or prison time. Free in-office or telephone consultations for all criminal matters. Do not hesitate. Call the Criminal Law Leader today, 954-523-2020.
And we're back. We're here with Michael Leader. Michael is the senior partner of Leader & Leader. And folks, let me tell you something. Michael didn't even know this. I have known about Michael's law firm for about 8 years. When you deal with attorneys like we have in marketing, you find out who the good ones are, and you definitely find out who the bad ones are. And I've been trying to do something with Michael for like 6 or 7 years, so we were so happy when we got Michael. He's got such a great reputation, and you can tell how passionate he is. Give everybody your phone number.
I can be reached 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We have an answering service when we're not there, so if it's an emergency, they can get a hold of me. We're at 954-523-2020. Again, that's 954-523-2020. And if you have a problem or an emergent need, we're available 24/7.
And tell everybody the types of cases you handle, too.
Well, I have, like I said, I have a very eclectic background in terms of the way I was brought up. My father's been a lawyer for close to 65 years. He keeps his license current. He's not actively practicing. He would argue that he's the senior partner, even though he was pretty much retired when I opened this firm, and I put his name on there for posterity. But with that being said, I bulk of my practice stayed in federal criminal work. So anything from white collar to federal drug charges to state court battery, burglary, drug cases, DUIs, you name it. There's really nothing, fraud cases, comp fraud, all types of stuff. Between my years as a prosecutor and defense lawyer, there's not much I haven't seen at this point. But we also have, as I mentioned at the beginning of the conversation, there is certain civil things that, because of my life's experience, my background, things that I've done in law over the last roughly 20 years, I know well. So there are these little niches that I will handle things at because I think I can do as good, if not a better job than anybody else my clients can hire. And I believe that because I'm committed. I work hard. I only do what I know how to do and what I believe I can do well. And I really care about my case and the outcomes and fighting for my clients. And I think anybody that I've represented would vouch for that. I've never had a grievance or complaint from a client.
The judges know you.
So I've gotten referrals from judges even, which is the hugest compliment. Cops I go up against have sent me their own family members.
That's got to say something. Now you cover Broward and Palm Beach and
everywhere.
Okay.
Basically we're available anywhere in the state. Predominantly the civil work that I do is like the first party insurance stuff we talked about would be Day, Broward, and Palm Beach generally. I do have a firm that I associate with for work in the Keys, so I can take stuff down there and they'll help out. I'll still be the brains behind the case, so to speak, but for manpower or day-to-day hearings, things like that, they may fill in if it's not worth my time going down there to handle a calendar call or a continuance or something like that. With that being said, the first party insurance and the criminal work is the bulk of what we do. I occasionally have people with some employment related issues or non-competes or general litigation. I've tried so many cases and litigated so many things, civil and criminal, complex to minor, that there's not a lot that I can't do well. But again, there's a lot that I will turn away, because if there's anything about a case that I feel falls outside of a realm that I know well, where there's a chance I could miss something or not catch something intuitively right away, I won't just keep a case to keep the money. I don't believe in that. I don't want to hurt the client. I don't want to hurt my reputation. I don't want to feel badly that I think I messed something up and feel bad for however long, years or life, because I didn't do the right thing by a client. It's not worth it to me. At the end of the day, I want to do the right thing by my clients and make sure they get the best outcome they can.
What's the difference? I know what a public defender is. So when my party days, when I was younger, I had friends, DUI, got arrested, and you'd hear them go, I got a horrible deal. I had the public defender. What is the difference? What are you going to do different than someone who hires a public defender?
Great question. And let me start off by saying that public defenders, God bless them,
Yes,
right? Because they're doing a tough job that's unappreciated. People even say they're not real lawyers when they absolutely are. The problem is twofold generally.
Workload, I'm sure, too.
Yeah, there's exceptions to the rule, right? But at the end of the day, in most jurisdictions, not all, you are going to have a lawyer, especially in a DUI, a misdemeanor case, something like that may have been a lawyer for a day or up to a year generally. Some counties, some jurisdictions, they stay in county court longer. But typically, the public defenders, at least in Broward, Palm Beach, that are handling your case in Dade, they've been a lawyer anywhere from a day to a year at best.
That's scary.
And so they may be the next O.J. Simpson defense team, like Dershowitz, Cochran, any one of those guys down the road. But at this point, they don't have the experience yet. So that's the first problem. They may care every bit of their heart in the world. They may be super brilliant. They may be super talented. But they lack experience often in the misdemeanors and DUI cases. Big problem. Big problem. Huge. Second is time. Frequently, in most instances that I've been familiar with, they have the workload that they should have for 5 or 10 lawyers to do the job properly. I can control my case count. I control my time, my schedule. They can't control those things. I don't have to get out to the jail to see my clients every day, where most of their clients are in jail and custody, or a lot of them. It's day and night, and it's not because they're bad lawyers or because they don't care. It's a matter of circumstance, but they frequently don't have the time to put in the research to do things the way I would do them. So what makes me different is my caring, my time, my pedigree, my background in education and DUI. When I say my pedigree, I don't mean family-wise. I was recruited by what was once considered the most preeminent DUI defense firm in the country. The guy that trained me to break down and defend DUI cases after I'd prosecuted them for years was the guy that wrote the book, guy by the name of Richard Essen, that's long since passed.
Yes, he passed away, but that's...
And there was a period of my career that I did nothing but DUI defense. And I get retained for DUIs all around the state, and I've actually have a phenomenal track record outside of the Tri-County area. Sometimes people are like, oh, well, don't I want a local lawyer? I think it's better to have a local guy. And with a lot of things, if you're dealing with something that's completely discretionary, like a violation of probation or something like that, that may be true. And there are times in my cases I do affiliate with a local counsel. But DUIs are very statutory driven. The penalties are statutory driven. There's less of a relationship and discretionary situation. I have had success in pretty much every out of Tri-County area DUI I've ever handled for my clients. So I would say that's an exception to the rule. At the end of the day, I would say that I take over cases from public defenders all the time. And despite best intentions, a lot of times not much has been done. They're not worked up. And the public defenders tell them, take a plea, or this is the best offer I can get you. And pretty much on every occasion, I've been able to do better for the client.
What should people know if they are pulled over for DUI?
You know what? Before I ask that, Steve, I want to touch one other thing. You talk about public defenders, but it's not just public defenders. There are a lot of lawyers out there struggling these days. People think lawyers all make a lot of money. We've oversaturated the market.
We were just talking about
lawyers can't find jobs. There are a lot of lawyers struggling, and they're desperate, and they don't have the experience. For example, almost any criminal lawyer I know will take a DUI, but a lot of criminal lawyers are great criminal lawyers, are not great DUI lawyers. They're totally different. They're not the same. Just because they're in criminal court, it is not the same. There are issues, nuances, science, things that apply in DUI cases that you don't have in any other type of criminal case. So with that being said, what happens is there are a lot of people that direct market, advertise, get referred to, and they're charging $500, $1,500, $2,500, whatever it may be. My experience is most of those clients that later came to me because they said this guy or gal's not getting it done, and now they're paying twice and it's costing them a lot more. Or they came back to me on a second arrest and they told me, I had this previous situation. But most feedback I get, you're getting what you pay for. And I tell people, you would have a better experience lighting that money on fire and saying I burned $2,500 and watched it burn than saying I got ripped off by a lawyer that took my money, continued my case for 6 months, and then just told me to take a plea.
Well, you know what? I'm going to tell you something. This is one area that you've got to have someone who's really good, who really knows what they're doing, because one thing you don't want to do is end up in jail.
And I know we're short on time, but to quickly address what you asked me, I've said this before on the show, and people can go to my website and see past shows, but there's no blanket answer. I can't tell people you should always refuse. I can't say always do this, always do that. I personally would not do the roadsides because I'm a little bit overweight. I have some orthopedic and medical issues. I have tried to do them with one of the most experienced officers in Fort Lauderdale when I was 15 years younger in a much better shape and didn't have orthopedic problems, and he laughed in the office in the middle of the day, hadn't consumed any alcohol. He goes, I'd be taking you to jail. I didn't even pass it completely sober in my office. So I personally wouldn't do them, but other people are very well maybe good to do them, and the officer may take you to jail if you don't do them based on their conclusions of what they've seen so far, whereas if you do them well, maybe they won't. I don't know. It's case by case, so I can't really say. And as far as testing, I'm not telling other people what to do. I don't drink and drive. I just spent a fortune to go to a concert because I knew I was going to have a drink, and I won't drink and drive. I stay away from it. But at the end of the day, you have to, if you think you're going to blow over, if I think I'm going to blow over, then I probably would decline to blow. But if I know I had one beer with dinner, I'd probably blow because I know I'm going to be under. So it's case by case.
I could do a 5-hour show with you. Give everybody your phone number and your website address.
Again, Michael Leader with Leader and Leader at 954-523-2020, www.criminallawleader.com. You can also check me out on Avo. We also have Florida Long-Term Claims lawyer website. You can check that out. And at the end of the day, any criminal, state, federal, white collar, anything at all, state court DUI or first party insurance cases, please give us a call. I'm sure you'll be happy with our service.
Thanks, bro, for coming in. Hey, we'll be back next Monday with more Ask the Experts. Have a great week. Peace and love, everybody. We're out.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Experts show with Steve-O and Renee. Tune in every Friday from 4 to 5 p.m. while some of the top local experts in their field from Broward and Palm Beach counties educate you in the areas of law, health, financial, and home improvement. You can also call our offices at 888-574-6999 to become an expert on our show. The opinions expressed on the